Well, hello guys. Well, in this video we're going to look at some of the progress I've made on the lift out section on the back side of the Marshalltown yard. We have some of the static grass down where the cattle pasture will be, right there to the left. And as we look over here to the right, you'll see the transition piece to the town. Got some of the dirt on it, and some grass on it as well. So the lift out piece is back into position, and I've got all the static grass is applied to the hillside. And these 2/4-inch pieces of styrofoam are the basis for a couple buildings that will be going on top of on this lift out. And so we've got to temporarily, we've got it in position here so that we can put a level on these styrofoam pieces. There'll be a diner on that one and a farmhouse on that one. So I'm leveling it out while it's in position, in its proper position on the layout, so I can make sure I can get these buildings down here, halfway level at least, somewhat level. So I will put some dirt under them and level them out, and then put some white glue, some adhesive, probably that caulking adhesive that I use to glue everything down with. Now we're applying the white glue around the bases. We've removed the lift out and put it back on my work area on top of my yard, and putting some white glue down around the bases. And when I get a good coat of the white glue down, I'll begin sprinkling some fine sifted dirt all around the bases. And if you also notice, I did paint the edges of the bases black so that it would kind of blend in with the dirt that I'm going to be putting around it. And I will put a lot of this white glue down where a lot of the dirt is going. I like a good coat of this glue because when we spray it later on, the dirt will absorb this glue from the bottom plus what glue I will be applying to the top, and we'll see that in a moment how I do that. And this just takes a little time doing this process, so getting most of the glue down, trying to get most of it where it's supposed to be instead of dripping it where it's not supposed to be. And I just use a spoon, and I put my sifted dirt into a little container and scoop it out of it, and just begin sprinkling it all over this white glue. And it doesn't matter if it goes beyond it, but this is where the heavy concentration of the dirt is going to be, is on this glue you see here. The dirt will be pretty thick because I'm going to bring it up all the way level with the base of the styrofoam, which will be the base for my structures that are going on top of it. Bring it up level to the edges. I put down a base for most all my buildings like this for two reasons. Most buildings are built above a grade in real life, in the real world. And number two, I don't like to glue my structures down. This makes them very easy to remove if needed, maybe for adding extra detail later on, or putting lighting in the buildings, whatever. But I just don't like to glue the buildings down permanently on the layout because just have to remove them from time to time. Maybe I want to add some detail interiors or put lighting on them, or just model railroading, you never can stop doing too much detail. It's just a continuous thing, so keep adding on to it. So that's a couple reasons why I put a little base down for all the buildings. I think about 90% of my buildings have a base under them and they're removable. Also to clean them, it's easier to clean them that way if you can just remove them, because over time they collect a lot of dust, and so it's easier to remove them and take a brush and a little vac and clean them off. So we'll just keep working with this dirt, get it level around the edges. I'm a landscaper in real life, so I know all about this this grading deal. So this translates into my model railroading. Even got this fancy little styrofoam grader here to help smooth my dirt out around the edges. I keep working it till I get it the way I want it before I do the wet water treatment. Maybe I could sell this little grading tool online. I don't know, make a little extra money. Now I put the tape up to the edge, you see, so the dirt wouldn't just fall off the edge. It helps kind of hold the dirt up there. It was kind of an afterthought when I realized all the dirt was falling off the edge. I wasn't building up any hill around the building, about around the base there. You can pretend this is a skid steer, I guess. And once I have all the edges that are directly around the base here graded off, as you can see, there's still a little bit of a slope there, maybe too much of a slope. So I'll give it a little bit of extra dirt to taper it on out a little further. Got to do the other one, get it up to grade. Adding some more tape. Then I realized that tape wasn't big enough, so I had to go grab a bigger piece of tape. Actually, that was the last bit of tape off of a little roll I had, but I found a bigger roll of masking tape in the train room. I make lots of mistakes. So we're getting this in up level as well. Smooth it off with my handy dandy styrofoam grater. So I'm just adding the extra dirt to make the slope a little bit more gradual. Don't want it too steep. Just patience on this. You just keep working with it. Now that I've got them about how I want them, all the dirt down, it's time to do what we call the wet water treatment. And all wet water is plain old tap water with a few drops of glue added. I said glue, I meant soap, like dishwashing soap. Yeah, a few drops of dishwashing soap. And you can use Lemon Fresh Joy. It smells real good when it goes down. But all that does is breaks the surface tension of the dirt and you soak it down really good. And it's really important because I see a lot of people do this when they apply ballast and even the foam scenery. It's important that you soak it down good, especially this dirt, since the layer is so thick. You want the water to penetrate all the way down to the bottom, to the surface that you're gluing to, because if you don't, all you're going to do is develop a crust when you glue it. Now this is 50-50 glue, and we call this 50-50 glue because it's half water and half white glue. Now I've seen guys use eyedroppers to do all this sort of thing with the alcohol and everything, and that just costs too much and it takes too much time, especially when you got to do a lot of volume. So I just mix it up in a little bottle. Same thing with the wet water. I've seen them use the alcohol and the little eyedroppers, but I've always used the wet water, and I've had tremendously good results with it. So I just soak this down real good with this 50-50 glue mix. And you want to get it to the point where you still actually see a white film still showing through. It's important you shake the bottle of glue with the water up really well too, to make sure you have a good mix. And you can see there's still a white film to that, so at that point I quit. And you want to glue it to the point to where it's not puddling either. You don't want it puddling everywhere and washing away everything that you've done. So there's a happy balance there somewhere where you want enough glue to glue it. Now this is actually the next day. Next day I like to let my glue and my water set up overnight, and then come back the next day and it's still wet enough to absorb the glue, and then I apply some more 50-50 right over the top. And the reason being is a lot of the water has evaporated out, so you have more of a concentration of glue in your dirt or your ballast or whatever you do. And I do the same thing with when I ballast track. I actually come back the next day while it's still a little wet and apply more 50-50 glue over top of it. And because it's still wet, as you see, it will just still absorb it, but yet you're getting a very high concentration of glue in it without it being diluted down so much with the water. And you have to use the water, you have to use the alcohol, whatever, to break the surface tension, so the glue will, absorb without beading up on top of what you're doing. But by letting it dry out a little bit and doing this over time, you get a much stronger bond. So I appreciate you watching. Post down in the comments whatever you think, and we'll see you next time.